Hey YouTube, welcome hunters, fisher people. This channel is made to help you become a more comprehensive outdoors person. Stay tuned for this episode because we are going to be talking about patterning your shotgun.
Pull.
Okay, whenever you're ready, go ahead. Outdoors person. So today, a couple things I want to talk about is shotgunning, and shotgunning for hunting, for shooting clay pigeons and trap, and how important patterning your shotgun is. So, first of all, I want to say I'm not an expert. Let me say that again, I am not an expert at shotgunning. In fact, up until recently, you could call me a pretty poor shot or pretty lousy shot. And even now, I'm just an okay shot, right? But the reason I'm doing this video and to bring this up is because by patterning my shotgun within a 2-week period, I was able to go from maybe I'd hit 8-10 birds at a time out of when I was clay pigeon shooting, right? I'm shooting trap, they send out 25 birds, you shoot 25 shots, I might hit 8 or 10. That's pretty bad, right? Just by patterning my shotgun and doing a couple of weeks of practice, now I'm going between 19 and 22 I'm hitting, which is a tremendous improvement. Now, is it great? Is it like expert shotgunning? No, but for me, it was a huge improvement, and I was able to do it in a short period of time, and one of the main tools that helped me was patterning my shotgun. So I really wanted to talk about that today. And you know, when we think about, for years, people had kept telling me, you know, hey, you need to pattern your shotgun. You really should pattern your shotgun. And I'd be like, you know, it's a shotgun, right? There's a couple hundred BBs going out there. It's in a pattern. That's good enough, right? And then I'd go duck hunting and I'd shoot, you know, a box of shells and I'd hit 2 birds if I was lucky, right? And then I'd be like, well, that's just because I'm a bad shot. And it wasn't until I started going to the trap range and trying to figure out what was going on and how come I was missing repeatedly, that forced me to go to patterning and then make a big shift. So I want to talk today about patterning and how important that is. I also want to go over not only how to pattern your shotgun, but how to read your pattern, and we'll look at that. And then finally, what to do if your pattern is not where you want it, okay? Okay, what we have here is a whiteboard, and on this whiteboard, we have what would look like the piece of paper or piece of cardboard after you patterned your shotgun. So what you want to do is get a big piece of paper or a big piece of cardboard and put paper on it, and you want to take and draw something in the middle about the size of a clay pigeon, and then you want to back up about 20 to 25 yards. Now, some people might say, well, I'm actually shooting birds at that further than that. Well, you don't want to back up so far that a lot of your BBs run off the paper and you can't read the pattern. You also don't want to be so close that you don't get a good representation of where your BBs are landing. So if we take a look at this particular pattern, if we pretend like that was our target and this is our shotgun spread and each of these are BB marks, and this was the top and this was the bottom, if you take, you know, you walk up to your patterning board and you make a circle. And what you can do is cut it in half, and you can count the number of pellets in the top hemisphere and the number of pellets in the bottom hemisphere. And this I would call about a 50-50 pattern. And for hunting, most hunting shotguns will try to, you know, from the factory, we'll try to have this kind of a pattern with the factory choke, and this is actually what you're looking for in a sporting shotgun or a hunting shotgun. But sometimes you will see something like this. And if you draw a circle around it and cut it in half, you can see that, well, there's far more BBs in the bottom than there is in the top. Yeah, I'm still hitting the target, but the majority of my BBs are down here and I'm hitting low, I'm aiming low. I would probably call this like a 30-70, okay? This is pretty much not ideal in any situation, unless the way you're mounting your shotgun causes you to shoot high. On this pattern board, if you drew a line right here and you drew a circle, you can see that the majority of the pellets are in the top hemisphere of the circle. And in fact, I would say this is more like a 70-30 this way. And it's interesting because a lot of the people who shoot clay pigeons or trap or 5-stand competitively, this is how they have their pattern set up. This is how they have their shotgun shooting. They want the majority of their pellets to be hitting above the target that they put on the piece of paper. And a lot of shotgun shooters will, let's say this is the clay pigeon, they will try to put their the bead on their shotgun, and they'll try to float the clay pigeon above the bead on their shotgun, or they'll try to have the bead just right on the very bottom. Okay, when we're hunting, I try to put that bead right on the bird, but everybody's going to do it differently. So that's 3 examples of patterns you might see. Here are the actual sheets of paper that we put on a piece of cardboard, and we wrote T on the top for T for top and B on the bottom, so that when we pulled them off we could go back and read them. And as you look closer, you can see we put a target about the size of a clay pigeon in there, and you can see the pellet holes, right? So this is what it will actually look like after you've gone out and targeted and patterned your shotgun. So this is a Browning 12 gauge gold label. This is my Upland bird gun, and as you can see, I got the bolt open, and you can look down inside. There's no shells in this thing, so I just want to confirm that it's safe, right? Not only should you make sure that there's no shell here, but you want to look up inside here and look down and make sure there's no shell anywhere. So this is safe, and this is the particular gun that I was struggling with, that I was took to the range to pattern. And the pattern that I was getting with this shotgun looked like this, where the majority of the BBs were low, way low, like only a few, just a few of maybe 150 to 200 BBs were near the actual target. So I had to figure out, wow, that's a huge change in where I thought my gun was shooting, and how do I correct that? And there's a couple different ways you can correct it. So because my Browning was shooting really, really low, I had a couple choices. One thing I could do was aim higher, right? And so instead of putting imagine this is what you're looking at as you look down the rib of your shotgun. Instead of putting my bead down here on the bottom of the bird or even the center of the bird, I put it high on the bird. Now, I know a lot of shotgunners say you shouldn't even be looking at the barrel of your gun. You should only be looking at the bird, and that's true for most people, but once you pull a shotgun up, and let's pretend you're not even shooting at a bird, this is what your sight picture should be. And so the way I shoulder my shotgun, I see no rib. I don't see any of the rib. All I see is the bead, and for me, moving it up helped me shoot more birds. There's another option though if you're shooting high, and that is to, when you mount the gun and practice it over and over again, to see more rib. So if you're only seeing the bead, and then you purposely make a decision to go, oh, I'm gonna see more rib, you're now going to take the barrel of the gun and tip it up. And so that might look like this, where if you're a person who traditionally wants to put the bead on the bottom and float the bird above it, imagine that's all the rib you see before, the rib of the shotgun, before you see the bead. By adjusting how much rib you see and how you mount the shotgun, you can change where you're hitting. In actuality, for this Browning gold label, it's shooting so low that I have to actually cover the entire bird up with the barrel when I pull the trigger. That's how low it shoots. Now, there's a couple other options if you're shotgun shooting low, and that is you can put a cheek pad on it, and the cheek pad will automatically cause you to shoot higher. But for me, it drives me nuts having that cheek pad on, and I don't like the way it feels. Plus, if I haven't shaved smooth, it's a neoprene cheek pad, and it grabs my whiskers and it jerks like that, and it's way worse than the recoil of a shotgun to feel like somebody's pulling your whiskers out. So I don't like that thing. So for myself, who you know hunts, probably like you, I maybe hunt a dozen to 15 times. I hunt birds in the bird season. I take that shotgun and I put it in the safe, and I don't pull out again. I'm just choosing to learn how to adjust my shot with this particular shotgun. And so those are a couple of things that I was able to do to change my point of impact and start hitting more birds. So the cheek pad did work, it was just uncomfortable for me. So instead I chose to go no cheek pad and cover up the bird while still maintaining how I normally align the shotgun, and that is where I only see the bead. I have a friend who was also shooting low, and that friend changed the way he mounted the shotgun so that he saw more rib. And so every time, if he has a shotgun, right, and let's say he's standing here with his shotgun and he sees something like in the corner of your wall where your two walls come together, and he closes his eyes and he mounts his shotgun and he opens his eyes, the amount of rib in the picture that he sees should be the same every single time. So he had to retrain himself on how to mount his shotgun. So those are some options that you can do, but trust me, just patterning your shotgun will give you so much information, and you'll know, wow, if I have a perfect 50-50 pattern, it's not the gun, it's you. You need to practice some more. I would recommend though, when you are patterning your shotgun, don't hold the shotgun up and sit there and aim and aim and aim and aim like you're shooting a rifle. Mount it, shoot like you would if you're shooting a shotgun for real. Because if you aim and aim and aim and aim, that's different than how you shoot a shotgun at birds, right? Like there's the bird, you see it, mount, follow, pull the trigger. So you kind of want to pattern your shotgun in the same way. You don't want to be sitting there for 10 seconds aiming and lining everything up. Mount, pull the trigger. I think this is going to help you out a lot. Last couple things I wanted to go over is chokes and ammo. And I've learned this from people who've been shooting a lot longer than me. If you were going rifle hunting for elk or deer, and let's say you were using a 180 grain bullet out of your 30-06 made by Federal, and you then decided to switch to Winchester and use a 160 grain bullet, you wouldn't just go out and hunt with it. You'd go back to the range and you'd re-sight in your rifle and make sure it's shooting where you think you shoot. It's the exact same thing with a shotgun. If you're shooting 7.5 shot at the range or size 8 shot at the range for clay pigeons, and then you throw number 2 steel in there and you're gonna go hunt ducks and you expect it to pattern the same way, it won't. It might, but a lot of times it won't. So if you change shot size even a little bit, you need to repattern your gun. If you decide that I don't like this choke, this is whatever, this is a factory Mossberg modified choke, and you decide to buy a Briley modified choke, do not assume that those chokes shoot the same. They don't. In fact, in that Browning, the chokes that came with it are so off, I actually am using a full choke that they gave me for this shotgun, and it shoots more like a modified or an improved modified. So don't trust the name or the labeling on the side of the choke. So repattern your shotgun if you change chokes, repattern your shotgun if you change shot size, especially if you're gonna go from lead to steel or you're gonna go from real small shot to bigger shot. Okay, so try this, go to the range, practice, see if you can improve. For me, it's made a huge difference, and I expect, to hopefully be able to humanely kill more birds. All right, hope this helped you become a more comprehensive outdoors person. If you like my content, please click like and subscribe. Have a great day.